Hello and welcome to Brubacher Beyond podcast, where we are shaping the world we live in so more people can find construction industry uncommonly refreshing. Thank you for joining us for episode 10 today. Today we are talking about our workplace profile with a DiSC assessment. And today I have two Brubacher guests with me who are from the HR department, Carolyn Weaver. Carolyn, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Carolyn Weaver. I'm the Director of Human Resources, and I have been with the company. I'm entering into my fourth year here at Brubacher.
Thank you. And the other guest is Hannah Lopez. Good afternoon, Hannah.
Good afternoon. My name's Hannah Lopez, HR Manager here at Brubacher. I am on Carolyn's team, and I've been with the company almost 3 years.
Wow. 4 years, 3 years. So before Brubacher, let's take a step back. One of the questions we always ask on the Brubacher and Beyond podcast is, can you explain yourself to the rest of the audience in your own words? Who is Carolyn Weaver and what do you like to do? And
I would probably say Carolyn Weaver is a people person. I think that it's one of my strengths and one of the things that I enjoy most about my profession and why I got into the profession that I have today. I live at home with my husband. We've been married now, oh my goodness, I guess 7 years, going on 8. And I married into triplets. He had triplets and they are 19 years old. And one is going to Penn State, one is going to Kutztown, and one is out in the workforce at this time. And we enjoy spending time with them as well as going to Penn State games, football games. We're big Penn State fans. So
I'm still waiting for it.
Yes, I know. I need to get.
I'll just go by myself. You don't have to bring anybody else.
That's fine. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And also have 3 dogs who are like my children as well. So yeah, we have a full house, and that's a little bit about me.
Any hobbies? What do you like to do?
I read quite a bit. So I really enjoy reading. I enjoy exercising as well, trying to stay fit. But I would say probably I took up golf a couple years ago. I can't say that I'm good at it, but I'm still learning. Work in progress.
Okay. Hannah, describe yourself at work, at home, with the family, hobbies.
Yes.
Busy life.
Busy life. I love HR. I've been in HR since, I believe, 2015. And like I said, I've been with the company 3 years. I love Brubacher too. Happy to be part of the team. I recently became a new mom in September of last year. So don't really have hobbies right now. It's more so just adjusting to that life. And live at home with my husband, Jordan, and our dog.
And your son is how old now?
He will be 7 months this week.
All right.
Super cute.
He's super cute.
Super cute.
So today's topic is workplace profiles using the DiSC assessment. So at Brubacher, and Carolyn, if you can talk more about this, who takes this profile study? Is it a study or is it a test?
More of an assessment.
It's an assessment. Okay.
I would say. Yeah.
And who usually takes this test? At like what levels, or is it depend on the team, or?
It just literally depends. I think that you can use it in many different ways, and Hannah can expand too as well. But I think we've used it when we have a new hire coming into the organization, and they're going to be joining a team that we have assessments on already. And so we want to get a good idea of that new hire's behavioral style and they're joining that team and how we can properly onboard that new hire. I think when somebody is promoted into a new position, maybe even into a new crew or a new department, that's another way that we can use the assessment. And then we've done it also as teams. So we've assessed teams in general, had 10 people on a team that takes the assessment. And then Hannah has gotten very proficient at facilitating the DiSC assessment presentation, if you will, kind of going through with that team, as well as the individual, on the individual level, how that team is communicating, working together, what the behavioral styles are, and how they can be used properly.
So when a lot of people, I'm going to say on the outside of Brubacher, look in, they just see a company that's moving very efficiently and doing its business. But when you're inside of Brubacher, you see that there's different teams or business partners, or how would we explain our teams? Like we have the asphalt division,
different
departments.
Mm-hmm.
So in each department, what we want to make sure is that the team functions correctly and the personalities,
or behavioral styles,
yeah, work better together,
complementing
each other.
Yeah.
And so I took this assessment and it pretty much affirmed what type of person or DiSC I was, or style. And it made me, do a lot of thinking, and especially with the people around me, what their DiSC is and how to approach or talk with somebody. So Hannah, can you explain the DiSC profile to me in a high level terms?
So what you do is you're sent an assessment with a couple of questions, and you answer those questions based on how you would react in certain situations. And from that, what you get is a letter. So either a D, an I, an S, or C, which is what DiSC stands for. So the D stands for dominance, the I stands for influence, the S stands for steadiness, and the C stands for conscientiousness.
And then with those DiSCs, you get a profile. Can you have two? Can you be in the middle? Or are you usually just one type?
So you can have two. In fact, I'm someone who sits right on the line of two different personality styles, because it is sort of a spectrum, if you will. However, people who, if you look at it as a circle, D in the upper left quadrant, I in the upper right quadrant, S in the lower right quadrant, and then C in the lower left quadrant. If you're a C, you're probably not an I. And if you're an S, you're probably not a D, and vice versa. However, you can, if they're next to each other, you can sort of sway a certain way depending on your personality. So for me, I'm an S. I sit right on the line of the C, which makes sense to me because I'm very detail driven. We should probably give an overview of what each one stands for too.
Yes. So let's do that. Let's just take a minute. And so again, if you're picturing this, the D is in the upper left, and there's a green. Does the colors represent anything as well, Carolyn?
No,
they're just,
I don't think they mean anything. It's just to differentiate between the four.
So the top left is D for dominance. The top right is I for influence. The bottom right, steadiness. The bottom left, conscientiousness. So
D for dominance. People who are Ds are typically direct, they're firm, strong-willed, forceful, and very results-oriented.
Get it done.
They're get her done.
Get her done.
Get her done. We don't care what we got to do. We have a mission. We have a goal. Get it done. So would that be more of someone that's in the field driven, would have more of a D personality, or can you have a C personality in the field too?
You can. And I think the DiSC is interesting because when you take it, you actually get some suggested career paths. And we typically see that people who are in the field or are in operations tend to be D because they're very results driven. They want to get things done. That's their job. So you can, and we do see people in different quadrants or different personality types out there in the field and even within operations, but I think there's a pattern.
Yeah. And I think, again, looking at the quadrants, so the D and the C on the left side of that circle, that side tends to be, as Hannah mentioned, seems to have individuals, operations seems to have individuals in both of those quadrants for the most part. I mean, there's nothing to say that you can't have an I or an S over in operations. It's not, one or the other. But when you look at it high level, I think most of the operations falls under the D and the C. The C on the lower left quadrant, and that half of that circle, someone who is conscientious, analytical, reserved, precise, very private, systematic, thinks long and hard about a decision, but once they make that decision, that's the decision they're sticking with. They want to get it right. So dominance, or D, is get it done, as we mentioned, but conscientiousness is get it right. Their main thing is they want to make sure that they get it right. So those two quadrants you do tend to see those on the operations side of things.
Okay. And then if we move, do we want to go into the top right, or do you want to keep on going around that circle? I'll let you lead this.
Sure. So on the right hand side, and Hannah, I didn't mean to take over for you here, but on the right hand side, there's influence. Upper right is influence, so that's the I. And Chris,
That's me.
That's you. So when you took your DiSC, you found out that you're an I. So someone who's outgoing, enthusiastic, optimistic, high-spirited, lively. I've used the adjective the cheerleader of the group. So that person, their main kind of behavior is get recognition. They're all about
connecting with people.
Yes. And having influence, right?
They tend to be the life of the party.
The life of the party.
Like to be.
Yes.
Of the party.
That is you.
At the parties, I want to just shut down. Don't nobody bother me.
No. Okay. So that is 25 to 30% of our population actually is an I. A D is 15 to 20% of our population. And by the way, C is 15 to 20% of our population.
What about S?
S, which I land in, as well as Hannah, steadiness. So even-tempered, accommodating, patient, humble, tactful. We use our words. We use a lot of words sometimes, more words than a D or a C. So interestingly enough, I happen to be the only S on our management team. So when you look at our management team for Brubacher, I am the only S on that team. So they are aware that I am an S, and I am aware that most of them are C's and D's. We actually don't have a lot of I's. So
I think I'm the only I, right?
Yeah. You're the only I.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So just that right there, the S is 35% of our population. So a lot more in that S category. So it seems only right as well that you asked about HR. HR would actually, we tend to fall on the right side of this circle. So the I and S. So most of HR are within those two quadrants.
I and S.
Yes, okay. Because they're more people focused, empathizing, agreeable, accepting of others, methodical in our thinking. We're not very quick to decide something. We do tend to think about it and make sure we're making the right decision, that sort of thing.
We like to stabilize things. So conflict situations that come up, we like to fix things.
So this is fairly new to Brubacher with this DiSC assessment. And you mentioned your whole team of HR did take this assessment. Mm-hmm. And we have other teams or divisions that have taken this assessment. Mm-hmm. Why did we start this journey?
I think that we care deeply that we as teams are working most efficiently and well together. And this was a tool that kind of brings out strengths and allows us to understand what each of us bring to the table with our behavioral styles, and to work with those. And we get really good conversation. We get good decision making. We get trust through these assessments, and then having the right facilitation of that as a group. We understand each other better. I think all around, we know how to adapt our behavior to others and different situations. And that in general, I mean, we're dealing with situations day in and day out as an organization, not just in HR, not just as a management team, but within departments. And so to know how to approach somebody or a subject or a situation and who you're working with to get to the end result the best way, I think is one of the reasons why we've chosen to do this.
Hannah, would you like to add anything to that? Or what value have you taken from doing these DiSC? You've taken it, but you also oversee and help team members after they've taken it. So what value have you seen from that? So,
well, for me personally, I think when we started to use DiSC and learned what other people were, it really helped me understand why people operate the way that they do. Before having DiSC, again, I'm an S. So when I'm working with the Ds, who are very results driven and quick and, want to have an answer. Yep.
Right away.
I think prior to DiSC, I would interact with those people and think, oh, maybe they don't like me, or they're just very quick with me and short with me. And it helped me understand that that's not the case. This is just their personality. And I think vice versa, they come to understand that maybe it's important to ask someone how their weekend was before they jump right into coming up with an answer for a situation. So personally, I think it's helped me work better with the team. And then on the flip side, with me facilitating the DiSC profile among our team members, I think the thing that stands out to me the most is when we implement this in our intro to leadership training, and our leaders start to understand why their team members might be the way that they are. With this, I think it helps them understand what motivates them, what their priorities are, and what are some things that maybe don't help to motivate them. So I've seen that as we implement this, that just all around it helps teams work together and understand how to interact with that person.
And you do the DiSC profile in the beginning of that training strategically, because it's something that you come back to. And I think you and the rest of the team have found that even those that take the DiSC and are part of that training tend to go back to it over and over and over again throughout the training, because it is so, our behavioral styles are so key to our everyday work life, as well as, I mean, you can take this home too. This is, our behavioral styles, and it's not just here at work, it's at home too. So some people have taken this and gone home to their spouses and have talked to their spouses and say, does this sound like me? And I don't know what happens after that. That could get kind of messy, but
I did that. I took this after I got the results. I gave it to my wife and I said, is this me? And she confirmed that this is me.
Right. So
now, can you DiSC change as you get older? Like if you're 20 some years old, you take it, and then when you're 40, you take it. Can it change?
I think it probably can. I think it even changes from time to time. If you've been in a role for a long time, for example, maybe you're a D, personality wise, you're a D, but you're in accounting. And so people who are in accounting are typically C, because you're so driven by details and accuracy. So even that can shift your personality style a little bit, just because you've been doing that for so long or have more exposure to something like that.
So let's say there's someone applying for an accounting role and we have them take this DiSC assessment before they're hired and it comes out they're an I. What do we do? Do we have a conversation saying we don't think that an I should be an accountant? Or
no,
we
so
say,
and maybe we should have started with this, but there is no wrong personality style. Even with certain positions, there's no wrong style. It's just understanding how that person operates and leaning into those strengths and understanding their weaknesses and how you're going to work with that, for the manager. And
so you can be an accountant and be an I, or you can be in the field and be an S. You don't, so these don't pigeonhole you in anything. These are just to
guides.
These are guides.
These are guides and tools, team building. And I kind of put down team building exercises or tools to just help maximize the team or that individual the best way possible, and for their team to understand where they're coming from and for that person to understand where their team is coming from. And so it's definitely a tool. It's not a decision maker when it comes to positions or whether an offer goes out or not. In fact, it's probably just a conversation, a thorough conversation with the hiring manager to say, hey, this is the person that you interviewed, and this is where they land on this profile. And these are the things that you should know about their strengths. These are things that we want to focus in on and make sure that maybe how could we have someone on the team maybe bring more focus into some of these other development areas. It's a tool. That's all it is.
Yeah. And it's not in no way is this a negative. This is just help grow our team members. It's just another tool that Brubacher uses to bring more value, to help build, and again, for our vision to be uncommonly refreshing in our approach to people, projects, and solutions. This is the people part, right? This is the people part that Brubacher makes an investment in and helps you grow. And I found it, even though I'm an I found it very valuable to understand what an I is, but also if someone is a D or C or an S, how to approach them in a different way. It might make the conversation go easier. Or to use Carolyn, when she comes back from vacation, since she's an S, to talk about vacation first and then talk about what happened during her absence on vacation, instead of going right into it as a D and direct. And
real life example. That's exactly what happened. And people will chuckle because I've used this example many times, but absolutely, I came back from a nice long vacation and someone on our team who's a D came in and sat down and said, this is what happened while you were gone. And this is what we need to do going forward. And just business first, dove right in. And there I am with my tan and ready to talk about all that we did and all the, the beach that was fantastic and the relaxation, and no, could care less. So going into that situation, me knowing that person is a D and realizing that is just their behavioral style and not taking it personally, which some people could if you don't know that about somebody. So if I don't know this profile, I don't really know that. I think he could care less about my vacation. Now, he could care less about my vacation, but knowing the DiSC profile, you approach things and conversations and communication in a different way. So going into it, I know that he's a D. I know that he didn't mean anything by it. He just wanted to get right into business and, again, get it done. I'm that patient. I want to talk about how things are going. I want to collaborate. I want to, be agreeable. And so I would have liked for him to approach the situation and know that I am an ass. And if he had asked me about my vacation, it's just a different way of approaching different situations.
Interesting. So Hannah, how does using this information help our organization at Brubacher grow?
Again, I think it's helping teams complement each other, and to help cross collaborate with other teams, like by knowing the DiSC profile that they are, and just, working better with one another.
Yeah, I'd say definitely improved working relationships and trust, just like she said. And trust is huge. You have to have that on a team. So improved communication between different teams and different individuals even.
Yeah, and I think it helps individuals grow themselves, because being an S and teetering on that line of a C, there's times where I'm so caught up in details and information, trying to pack as much information in as possible. And maybe that given situation, we need to come to an agreement or have a result. And so having somebody on the team who's a D can maybe help me get there without dwelling on those details and all of that information too much. So I think it helps us grow as an organization, but also help our individuals grow themselves.
Gina Breslin from the North Group, she works very closely with us, and she always says, she uses this with D's: be brief, be bold, be gone. D's like you to be very brief in what you're talking to them about, know what you're talking to them about, be very precise, be bold, say what you mean, get to the point, and then off you go.
Interesting.
So yeah, we always remember that about D's. So we approach, when we know we're going in to present something or to give a proposal to a D, who, remember, a lot of our ops team is a D or a C. So we work with D's and C's all the time. So we know that we have to be brief, be bold, be gone. And so we kind of cater to that and know that.
And that's a great tool, knowing that you're going into a meeting and those are the three things or topics to stay on, focus. It builds a better relationship inside the organization.
Yeah.
So I thank you everyone for your time today. I don't know if we've missed anything or if we should point anything out. But again, this is just another way that Brubacher is uncommonly refreshing in our approach to people, projects, and solutions. And I thought it was important to talk about the people side. We are in the construction industry. We use big yellow iron a lot. We move dirt. We put pipe in. But at the end of the day, it also comes down to the people. And without the people and the right teams in the right situations, those outcomes could be different. But if you do think about putting the right people in the right situations and be intentional about that, then it takes your organization to a next level, and your next level performance can show for that.
Absolutely.
So thank you everyone for listening to this podcast number 10 from Brubacher and Beyond. I appreciate your time today for listening. If you have any comments, you can email me, text me. If you would like to be a guest, or if you know anybody who would like to be a guest outside of Brubacher, please let me know, and we will look to maybe a future episode to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.